Maybe she's born with it.
Maybe it's plastic surgery. No, but really, I had liposuction from my hips to underneath my bra line, 360 degrees. I also had a tummy tuck, so I have an incision from here to here. And thank Dr. Tomsic, he also repaired my torn abdominals from 2 very difficult pregnancies. And I got my tits done because my tattoo goes so close to my nipple I can't get a lift, so I got an implant instead. So now I have these lovely drains that have to be drained every hour, and there's blobs of liposuction fat in them. It's gross.
Hey there, Nicole Frost of Frost Yarn, but today we are not talking about yarn, as you could see from the intro. Today I am 6 months post-op from my Mommy Makeover surgery that I had with Jason Tomsic in Pittsburgh, PA in November of 2021. And it's now May of 2021, and I wanted to share my experience, my before and afters, a little bit about what it was like to be an athlete for so many years and then experience obesity at the age of 32 for the first time as a result of gaining 102 pounds in 34 weeks of pregnancy with my son, Jules. And what that did to my body and my self-image, and how it woke me up to the fact that I clearly had disordered eating long before I was ever overweight, and the healing that needed to take place before I was a candidate for having plastic surgery, because, having all of the excess skin removed and then gaining the weight back would be catastrophic. So here are my before and afters. And this is what I looked like this morning when I was filming for this. And this is what I looked like after I lost almost 100 pounds and what I was left with. So it's July 20th, meaning I am 10 months exactly into my weight loss journey. And so today I weigh 196. This is where I can't seem to lose any weight, although I exercise 4 times a week. So this is what surgery is going to address. The fact that I look pregnant no matter how much weight I've lost. I delivered my daughter at 276 pounds, so I am close to 100 pounds down. But I have this shelf, as you can see, it goes out like that. So I have 4 months, July, August, September, October, November, exactly, to lose another 26 pounds. Then I will no longer be overweight, and they will be surgically removing all of this. And here we are, 6 months post-op, May of 2022. I had 4,000 cc's of fat removed from my abdomen and a 3-pound apron of skin right here. And this is what my scar looks like. It's fading beautifully, and I will show you a close-up. As you can see, it's pretty thin and really healing beautifully. What I love about what Dr. Tomsic did was that he created a contour that looks good, not just from the side or the 3/4, but even all the way to the back. I was naturally had an hourglass before I ever had kids, and then I just gained all my weight right here. And now I have actually, I think, better proportions than I did before I ever had kids. And I just love this, especially because I have this little the V-line ab etching is so pretty. So the process, I had known that I was going to have Mommy Makeover surgery before I was even willing to get pregnant with Jules. I had a feeling I was going to gain a lot of weight. which was fine, but I knew that I was very attached to my body looking and feeling a certain way. So I told Martin when he started talking about wanting to, have kids, that if I didn't look and feel right in my body, that he would be paying for surgery, and that would be the cost of me being the one doing all of the heavy lifting, so to speak, with the pregnancy. And 7 years later, he did. So, it took me quite a few years to find Dr. Brandy, Dr. Ozer, and Dr. Tomsic of The Real Dr. Skin. I actually found them through Instagram. I had been using Real Self and going through so many providers that are here in Southern California, but like the boobs would look like rock hard stripper boobs, but the liposuction was nice. Or the liposuction looked lumpy and irregular, but the tummy tuck was really beautiful. Or the belly buttons looked weird. I could not find a single provider in all of Southern California that was doing the kind of work that I was looking for. So I just would rather not spend, $20,000 to $30,000 and have issues with the surgery and not really being happy. And then one day I saw the Real Dr. Miami was like doing some kind of Q&A with the Real Dr. Skin, and I went to their page and I was blown away. I knew immediately that would be where I would be having my Mommy Makeover surgery. So I sent a request. I set up an interview. It was actually September of 2019. And Dr. Brandy very graciously let me know that they had a 32 BMI requirement, and my BMI was 40, and I was not a candidate for surgery due to increased risk factors with people who are morbidly obese. And I'm so glad that he said that, because shortly after that, I was told by so I had gestational diabetes with my daughter, which is why I delivered her at 276 pounds. And I had horrific back pain, knee pain, hip pain, pulsating spine headaches postpartum, and it was the most uncomfortable I'd ever been in my body. And the diabetes didn't go away. In fact, I just was now diabetic. And the diabetes care clinic basically said, you need to quit wheat and sugar permanently or start injectable insulin. And, the cost, like the average cost, depending on your healthcare plan here in the US for medication, test strips, syringes, insulin, and diabetes management copays was like more than $1,000 a month. And I just decided in that moment, like, no amount of cake, chips, fries, and other crappy foods that I would emotionally overeat was worth that kind of lifestyle for me. I'd been an athlete my whole life and thin and athletic. And while I still had disordered eating during those years, it didn't really take off until I got sober. And I found out that, sugar, nicotine, and caffeine can kind of give you the head change you're used to with the alcohol, minus the going to jail part. And so September 20th of 2020, I stepped off the merry-go-round of compulsive overeating, binging, starving, and overexercising, and started working with a therapist and a sponsor like every single day for 6 months to get to the root of why I ate like that and my self-image issues. And I lost nearly 100 pounds very slowly, an average of 1.4 pounds a week. And sometimes I would go a whole month without losing anything, but I didn't allow it to set me back on the, nightmare path of binging and overeating. So I got to have another consultation with Dr. Brandy when I met the BMI requirement. I think at that point I was like at 26, down from a 40, which is a long way to go. And he recommended that the surgeon that fit what I was asking for, the type of, surgery, would be Jason Tomsic. And I got to meet with him. And he is an incredible person, not just as a provider, but like you can really tell that this is a good dude and he loves what he does and he's very good and he's functioning at the top of his game. He spent a lot of time, and I had like a long list of questions. And let me tell you, I've talked to some previous surgeons that I won't name here that I obviously did not go to, who literally, when I had my list of like where would we do the breast implant placement? What type of implant? What type of incision? What type of closure? They were like, you don't need to worry about that. Or they wouldn't even answer my specific questions. They seemed annoyed. One of them made fun of me, like said, "Oh, did you get your medical degree at Dr. Google?" And I was like, I just want to make sure that the type of placement of implant isn't going to leave me with 90s stripper tits up to my collarbones. And I actually said that to Dr. Tomsic. I was like, ultimately I would have liked a lift, but my tattoos go all the way down to my nipples, and the nipples, when you get a lift, are surgically placed back up here. And that was just going to ruin what I have here. And I was on the borderline. I didn't have to have a lift. I could have gotten away with an implant. So we went with an implant, and I gave him some pictures of what I didn't want and what I did want. I was really specific. I don't want 90s stripper tits. Jenna Jameson is a no, like the ones that are hard, overly round, project straight out, and the cleavage is right up here with no bra on. I wanted something that, I was natural and felt natural and wasn't significantly larger than what I already had. I just had so much boob down here and no boob up here. That was my concern. And he took those concerns really seriously. And I super appreciate that he didn't make me feel rushed. He didn't make me feel stupid. He was very clear about what we could and couldn't do. Like, I remember the morning of surgery, I was so nervous. It is 4 a.m. the morning of surgery, and this day has been so many years coming, it just doesn't feel like it's real. I'm nervous for, the pain and the healing process, but beyond excited. So I'm going to check in with you once I get back and show you what we're working with. But basically, we're saying goodbye to her. She housed my children and served me really well. And now we're getting an overhaul. It's almost showtime. And he was marking me. They have these special markers they get from Japan that like don't come off while you're, because he was marking where he was going to be doing his V-line ab etching and all that stuff and what he was going to be taking out. And I thought the smell of the marker was making me feel faint, but apparently the like anticipation of what I was about to do was making me feel faint. And he was so kind. He was like, "Oh, why don't you, lay down?" They got me some IV fluids because I hadn't had any water or anything to drink in, more than 12 hours. And they literally gave me IV fluids so that he could continue marking me. And he's just super nice. He's actually going to be operating on quite a few of my friends in the coming months, which is amazing. They didn't even have Mommy Makeover on their horizon. That wasn't something they were looking for until they saw his results on me and how natural they are, but also how like beautifully I healed and completely complication free. I guess if there was a complication, it's that you have your drains from the tummy tuck for 2 to 4 weeks. At 5 weeks, mine were still draining. However, it looked like one of the drains was starting to get a growth on the inside, probably from me showering and not, if shower water gets in them, then they're no longer a sterile environment. So anyway, I pulled them out at 5 weeks, no problems whatsoever. I never got an infection. All of my incisions closed beautifully. I love my results. I mean, they speak for themselves. I did not realize how much of my sense of self was tied up in how I felt I looked. So I had a lot of work with a therapist and a sponsor in Overeaters Anonymous to like address my sense of self being tied to something that's going to change anyway as I age, and coming to, love myself for who I am and not how I present to the outside world. And I'm really glad I got to that spot before I had surgery, because I think if you have surgery when you're still eating disorder or you're still have body dysphoria, no matter how thin you get, you still feel like you look fat, that kind of stuff, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because you're not going to be happy after the surgery either. And I can say today, like, I weigh 188 pounds. My pre-baby weight was 145. And The healthy weight, the top end of the healthy weight for my height, which is 5'10", is about 173. So I'm pretty close to no longer being classed as overweight, but I'm not fixated on the scale. I eat 3 clean, healthy meals a day. I personally abstain from sugar and wheat because they cause a binge response in me, and I don't enjoy binging. Also, my A1C is perfect, and I have no evidence of diabetes anymore. And that's been since about 6 months of not eating wheat and sugar. All of my blood levels, from my thyroid function, my liver, kidney function, everything went from redlining to perfect health. So for me, that's how I knew that. And I'm not on a diet. I eat ketogenic because it works for me. I have it's called insulin resistance. So anytime I try to add like potatoes or white rice back into my diet, my blood sugars skyrocket and I pay the price. So as long as all of my carbs come from complex sources like low sugar fruits and vegetables, I do really well, and I don't starve myself anymore. I'm really clear that I'm not on a diet. It's a food plan, and this is what I do so that I can enjoy my 50s, 60s, and 70s with my husband out, because some people can carry 100 extra pounds. I have friends that are significantly in the 100+ pound extra range, and they have no joint pain, no knee pain, no diabetes, no high cholesterol, nothing. That wasn't my experience. I gained that weight and my body crapped out, and it crapped out big time. So interesting things. I'm going to show you my belly button. I'm actually wearing a cute top and some sweatpants, so ignore that bit. But is this not the cutest little belly button ever? I don't know why I felt compelled to show that just then, but what else? I think that it's really important. Oh, these are the metrics by which I looked for a plastic surgeon. This is really important. I used to work for a plastic surgeon way back in the day who did like eye jobs and coronal brow lifts. He didn't do body stuff. And excellent provider, incredible human being, still a friend of mine to this day, 22 years after working for him. So I knew that I wanted a practice that had their own surgical center, and they weren't using a surgical center outside of their clinic, which the Real Doctor Skin built. It looks like an ER. It's incredible. It's like a full-on beautiful surgery center. Another thing that was important to me was that I was seeing a provider who was showing all of their results. So many of the surgeons I saw in Newport Beach, Laguna, all over Southern California, in LA, Beverly Hills, they were showing some of these results were 25 plus years old. And you could tell just that they were film. And they weren't showing all of their results. They were cherry picking the results that were the most dynamic. And that's what you saw. I didn't see people who looked like me in any of their before and afters. They picked already thin women who had a tiny bit of extra skin and maybe a little bit of breast laxity, not people who looked like this. So that was most important to me, that I found a provider that was showing all the results, and they were doing mommy makeovers all day, every day, not a nose here and an eyelid job there. And, then like a boob job. I wanted someone that this is their all day, everyday gig. And that was what I found with Dr. Tomsic and Dr. Ozer at the Real Doctor Skin. Also, Dr. Brandy has written published articles on the methodical block technique for the way he does liposuction, which was incredible. I didn't see anyone's liposuction look as good as theirs. And the reason is they count every single stroke, and they box out from the top to the bottom of your abdomen and all the way around how many strokes they did on the left flank, so that it matches how many strokes they did on the right flank. So that was really important to me. And they don't use the pinching technique where they're going around to see if they got all of the fat. They have a nurse who's just standing there in a whiteboard with a whiteboard marker, literally making sure that every single stroke is exactly where it needs to be. And it's got a mirror box on the other side. So if they did 100 here, then they're going to do 100 there. Also, the way that they close the way they suture under high-powered magnification is incredible. Like a lot of the scars I saw on patients in the Southern California practices I was looking at were an inch thick. That didn't look good at all. And the incisions that I saw from the Real Doctor Skin on women with very pigmented skin, deeper toned skin, and the no keloids, no weird pink bubbly, everything was beautiful. That was what I think I noticed the most, was that they were, when they show 6 month, 1 year, and 18-month post-op patients, they've healed beautifully, and the incisions are so clean and so thin. That was important to me. I didn't want to be left with an inch of scar tissue anywhere. I wish I could show you my boobs, but it is against YouTube policy. So I'm just going to describe. You cannot see my incision anymore. He did a peri aureolar, so it's like a half a smiley face right at the bottom of the nipple, and that was where he placed the incision. Because my pre-breast implant size was already a D, I had enough tissue that we didn't need to go underneath the muscle. We could place the implants over the muscle, and they don't hurt at all. In fact, they didn't hurt the day after I had them done. The only thing that hurt was the liposuction, so I would have to say, prepare yourself. That was painful, but every person has a different pain tolerance and pain level. The surgery incision was totally numb for the mommy or the tummy tuck, and my abs were sore because I had like a 4-inch diastasis, so my abs were torn really, really far apart. So he sewed them back together. It's another thing. They do triple plication, and each knot is its own individual knot when they're doing the abdominal repair. So some practices, it's almost like the way you would sew a shirt, where if you break the thread at one point, the entire thing comes unraveled. They don't do abdominal repair like that. They do 3 rows, and they're all individually knotted. So if you do mess up and accidentally bust a stitch while you're healing, the entire thing doesn't come apart. And that's what you're really paying for. Pretty much a guaranteed result, given, I mean, if as long as you follow all of the, you don't smoke, do drugs, drink, and you take care of yourself, and with the SCAR protocol that they give you, you're gonna have like a guaranteed amazing result. And I can't think of the same, I've been trying, I want this to be a balanced review that's not like, all sunshine and roses, but I've had the best experience. I can say that, funny but weird, my belly button does not feel like it's mine. When I touch my stomach, it's still pretty numb because the nerves are coming back from the liposuction. But if I like run my finger past my belly button, it feels like a butthole. I don't know why, because it's so pretty, but it feels very weird and foreign. And that's possibly just a me thing and not like everyone who gets a mommy makeover. And maybe the nerves are going to come back that tell my brain, this is your new belly button. Whatever happened to my previous one, the relationship I had with where it was on my body and how it felt has changed. The surgical incision is numb, much like a C-section if you've had one of those. But this time the numbness extends 2 inches below on my hips, and I don't think I had any liposuction there. So that's weird when I pull my pants up. I lost a little bit of sensation in the nipple, but not much, and it's coming back. At 6 months, I'm starting to have like little deep twinges inside the boob, which is probably just the nerves reconnecting, and once they start firing, you start feeling weird little twinges. But other than that, like, this has been, I feel like me again. The woman I was before I had kids. I did not enjoy having a 6-month pregnant belly 2.5 months postpartum, or 2.5 years postpartum. I didn't enjoy running up the stairs after my children and everything heaving so hard it hurt. I didn't enjoy my boobs getting so big when I was pregnant. I was like a G, from a D to a G, and then I was getting like little yeast infections under the boob because it was so sweaty and so heavy. I didn't really, it felt like I was stuck in a fat suit. It didn't feel like me. And I had a lot of shame because the way I was eating was finally reflected on my body. And I realized I had a lot of work to do to get past my own fat phobia and my idea that if I looked pretty and externally, that somehow internally there would be a rearrangement. It really was an inside out job for me. And once that clicked in my head and I started focusing on health and not the scale or the size of my pants, but is my liver and kidney function better? Yes. Is my A1C perfect now at a 4.6? Yes. Do I have any evidence of diabetes? No. Do I wake up in the middle of the night and, I'm like blacking out when I stand up because my blood sugars are so bad that I just faint, which used to happen in the middle of the night before I lost the weight. I also just recently saw my surgeon. I was supposed to have knee surgeries March of 2020, and he said I no longer need it because the aggravating factors, they wanted to cut the side of the muscle to lift the kneecap, have resolved with the weight loss. It turns out carrying that 100 extra pounds for me really stressed my low back and my knees so bad that I was in constant pain. And so I focused today on, can I run a better mile on the elliptical because I don't run anymore? Yeah. Can I ride a bike for a really far distance? Yeah. Can I go to the park with my kids and chase after them and not be dying by the time I get to the toy structure? Yeah. Everything else, whether or not I still have a little extra here, or sometimes the side of my bra gives me this, that used to torment me. I don't see it anymore. I love the way my body looks. I really do. And for me, surgery was what got me to where I needed to be. And I don't know where you're at in your journey or if this is interesting to you, but I just thought I would share that. I had the best experience, and I think if this is the type of surgery that you need, it is worth flying to their clinic in Pennsylvania because the work that they do is incredible, and you're very unlikely to find someone in your backyard doing what they do. And they give a travel discount, which sort of, I think it was $1,200, which allowed me to pay for my Airbnb and air flight. So yeah, I'm going to put all the info in the description if you've gotten this far, but thank you for being party to or witness to my transformation and watching this 20 something minute video. Have a great day.